Hi, welcome to this hypnotherapy session. In about 30 seconds, I'm going to disappear from the screen and the screen is going to go black to allow you to settle into it. So please sit down or lay down comfortably. Make sure your headphones are in if you've got them. Turn off any notifications on your phone. Hopefully, you've watched the short video introduction explaining what hypnotherapy is or isn't, but if you haven't, that doesn't really matter. So this screen's going to go black now, and I'd like you to settle down and enjoy the session. Thank you.
You don't need to feel relaxed yet. Nothing needs to change quickly. Just noticing yourself here, exactly as you are, is enough for now. Now some minds start busy, some already feel quieter, and many move between the two, wandering a little, and perhaps wondering without trying how ease begins. So there's no right way to do this, just only your way. And you might notice the simple fact you're here listening, not needing to go anywhere else right now. Thoughts can drift or stay close or move in and out like breath. And you don't have to mind that. You may simply notice the mind doing what it does in its own time. And at some point awareness may rest in the body, not as effort, just as presence. Parts of the body you're aware of, and parts that remain quiet in the background. As if your attention can gently feel and fill whichever space it lands on. And perhaps without planning to, you become aware of the breath. It's been there all along, arriving, leaving, doing its work piece by piece. And as your body finds a little more peace in the noticing. Most people don't notice breathing until it matters. And this might be that moment for you. Nothing forced, just the breath aware of itself again. And as you notice it, you might sense the system already knows how to settle. A slightly softer exhale, a little more room in the ribs. Or just the simple recognition that breathing happens without your help. There's no need to take a deep breath. The body will just know. And if nothing changes yet, well, that's just the work beginning. So awareness first and shift later. You might begin to feel a small softening somewhere, or the hint of heaviness, or the sense of being placed here in this moment. As thoughts begin to wander, and wonder where they go when they soften. And of course you don't have to guide it, and you don't have to follow it. Just be here. Let the mind decide how it listens, and the body decides how it rests. Because sometimes we understand something consciously, and sometimes we hear, and hear in a different way, one that doesn't need thinking to make sense. And as all that settles in its own way, when you're ready, or before even you realise you're ready, we can just begin to move just a little deeper. And now, as you continue to breathe slowly and evenly, awareness begins to drift inward. Each breath a quiet signal to the body. You can soften now. You can rest. Notice the gentle weight where your body meets the surface beneath you. Notice the air on your skin. The subtle movement of breath at the edges of your nostrils. The stillness forming around each sound. And with every breath, the body settles more deeply than before. The rhythm of breathing becomes the rhythm of calm. I'd like you now to maybe imagine yourself standing at the top of a long, smooth staircase. And it's softly lit and it's gently inviting. And it's safe. And I want you to, with each number I count, when I count them, you can take one easy step downwards. And with every step downwards, deeper down, your comfort will double. So on the 10th step, and the muscles behind the eyes relaxing. And stepping down to the 9th, you feel the shoulders release. Down through 8, and a warmth spreads through your chest and arms. Down to 7, and just breathing deeper now. To 6, and drifting further downwards. And on the 5th step, halfway down now, safe and steady. Down to 4, legs loose and heavy. And as you reach the 3rd step, the thoughts start drifting further apart. And 2 almost at the bottom now. And 1 stepping off, arriving in a space of complete stillness. And as you reach this special place, you simply pause and breathe. Each exhale draws you 1 layer deeper into comfort. You might even notice tiny details now. A faint pulse in the fingertip. A gentle rhythm of the heart. Each beat syncing with the breath. And that's okay, this is just your body learning the pattern of peace. And here awareness expands and contracts, like the slow movement of a tide. And as you inhale, a faint sense of lifting, as though light moves gently through the body. And as you exhale, a quiet descent, sinking a little deeper, a little further into calm. Each rise opens the door for a deeper fall. Each fall teaches the system that letting go is safe. Time begins to stretch now. Moments widen. The conscious mind loses its grip. You start to sense the quiet below thought. Even if you can hear background sounds, a car outside, a creak in the room, they just blend into depth. They become part of the rhythm that carries you deeper. And if you were to measure time, you'd find it shifting. Seconds expanding. Minutes dissolving into stillness. And that's good, because this is just the subconscious taking charge. And in that quiet stillness, your deeper mind can begin to show just how responsive it already is. You might like now, I don't know, simply to choose one of your hands, whichever hand feels right to you. There's no need to analyze or decide. Just notice which one your attention drifts to. And as that hand becomes the focus, bring awareness to one single finger, perhaps the first that draws your attention, perhaps another. So your mind will know which one it wishes to use. So just notice that finger now, its weight, its warmth, and of course the tiny pulse of life within it. And as you notice, you may begin to sense a faint impulse there, a soft current, a micro movement. You don't need to make it happen. In fact, you might have even tried to keep it completely still and just notice what happens anyway. Because when the subconscious mind is ready to respond, it often chooses the smallest possible signal, a twitch, a flutter, a movement so light it's almost imagined. And whether that movement happens now or a little later, the awareness of it tells you something deeper. That your mind and your body are listening to each other. And as soon as you become aware of that subtle response, or even the feeling that it could happen, you can just allow the whole hand to rest again. And as it settles, you drift twice as deep. Relaxation spreading outwards like the gentle ripples of calm. And every muscle now learning what ease feels like. Every cell remembering balance. And now as all systems begin to synchronize, breath, pulse, thought, each moving to the same slow rhythm, the deeper the mind is open. The surface mind pleasantly distant, as if two parts of you were working together perfectly. One resting, one listening, both in harmony. And it may feel as though you could stay here for 5 minutes or 5 hours. And the difference would mean nothing, because time inside calm has its own pace. What feels like a moment can be long enough for the subconscious to reset and to restore and to heal. So there's nothing to manage, nothing to prove, only the rhythm of breath, the steadiness of the heartbeat, and the feeling of drifting effortlessly in peace. And the deeper you drift, the quieter everything becomes, and the more ready you are for the work that follows, anchored, open, and completely at ease. And for others, stillness becomes deeper, solid, steady, a place to rest. Either way, that's your system responding. No pushing, no performing, just noticing what's there and their own way of responding. So let awareness settle now, where effort falls away and the body will know what to do without instruction. You aren't falling asleep, but if later something you choose to do this, that's fine. The mind can rest and still know, without needing to know how it does this. Comfort doing the work, you simply being the space it happens in, and in its own good time.
And as you begin to settle, in whatever way settling happens for you, you may notice a quiet shift inside. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself, the kind that simply arrives the way that daylight arrives through a window, without asking permission. And as that shift continues, I'd like you to imagine something simple, something steady, something older than fear and stronger than the part of you that doubts your own strength. Somewhere in your mind there is a field, wide and open, if you can just imagine that. And in the centre of that field there stands a single tree. Not a young sapling bending at the slightest breeze, but a mature, grounded tree, weathered, seasoned, holding a kind of quiet authority in just the way it stands. Imagine yourself noticing its trunk, broad and solid. The way it rises with certainty, as if every fibre of wood knows exactly how to hold itself. You don't need to force this image, just let it form naturally, slowly. As your body begins to sense that this tree exists, not out there in some imaginary landscape, but as a representation of something within you. Perhaps you can sense that the roots of this tree reach deep into the ground, far deeper than the eye can see. Roots that twist and stretch through layers of soil, anchoring the whole tree with a strength that is not loud, not dramatic, just unshakable. See, these roots have held through storms and seasons, through winds that tried to bend it, through rains that soaked the earth, and through days of heat and nights of cold. And still, it stands. Not because the world is gentle, but because the tree's foundation is not determined by the weather. And as you rest with this image, you might begin to feel those deep, anchoring roots as a metaphor for your own stability. The part of you that remains steady even when the nervous system is convinced that everything remains unsafe. Because fear works like the weather. It rushes in, makes noise, moves fast, changes shape. But it is never permanent. It doesn't define the landscape, and it doesn't define the tree. It's the roots that define the tree, and the roots define you. And as you picture that tree in your mind, you might imagine placing your awareness at the base of the trunk where the wood meets the earth, where stability begins. And you can feel a heaviness there, not a burden, a groundedness, a sense of being held from below. And every time your mind has told you that you needed someone beside you to be safe, your roots were still there. Every moment you believed that you couldn't stand on your own, your roots held anyway. Every time that fear tried to convince you that you were fragile, your roots were gradually proving otherwise. And now, as you notice this, you might have a sense of soft, warm heaviness spreading downwards through your body, through the hips into the legs, toward the feet, just as if your own body is remembering just what it feels like to connect downward, to settle, to root. You see, fear tries to make the world feel unstable, but the world does not determine the stability, just the roots do. And the deeper the roots, the less the weather matters. And you see, there's something important about this tree. Something else. It stands alone in the field, but it is not lonely. It is not fragile. It doesn't require other trees pressed up against it to remain upright. It stands because it knows how to stand. And perhaps in this moment of quiet connection, you can recognize that independence is not a test, not a threat, not a danger. It is a natural expression of being rooted, and rooted things do not fall easily. You may notice that as you imagine this tree standing through the seasons, perhaps your own breath changes, becoming steadier, slower, more confident. The way the wind settles when it realises it cannot move something that is already deeply anchored. And as you imagine yourself standing beside that tree or stepping into it, almost becoming it, inhabiting its strength, you can feel that your stability comes from within, from something older than fear, older than worry, older even than the beliefs that once told you were unsafe alone. Because the tree doesn't ask the sky for permission to stand. It simply stands. The tree doesn't run after the wind for reassurance. It lets the wind pass. And the tree doesn't cling to nearby trees to keep itself upright. It trusts its own depth. And now you are learning that same trust. Not by forcing anything, not by challenging yourself suddenly, but by recognizing that you've always had roots. You simply forgot how deep they go. And now as you breathe, you might imagine those roots extending a little deeper, finding richer soil, finding nourishment, finding stability. With each breath, your internal world calms a little bit more. There will be winds again, moments of uncertainty, moments when the brain moves fast and fear tries to rise. But deep-rooted things do not panic. They wait. They settle. And they remember. And so will you. Because safety, well, it's not something you chase. It's something you uncover from within. And just like the tree does not create its roots in the middle of a storm, it trusts the roots it already has. And those roots are within you now, steady, quiet, deep, capable. Reminding your whole system that you are not held up by other people. You are held up by yourself. And the more you return to this image, this feeling, this rootedness, the more natural it becomes for your nervous system to understand. I am safe in myself. I am stable within myself. However the world may change, I remain rooted. Because you do.
And now, as this time of calm and focus begins to draw to a close, you can allow all the useful changes from this session to continue settling quietly in the background of your mind. There's no need to think about them. They're already integrating naturally and becoming part of the way you think, feel, and respond. So the body begins to re-energize now, the mind clearing, the breath deepening, and you may start to notice small movements returning, a shift of the shoulders, maybe a swallow, or maybe the fingers or toes beginning to move. And as you reconnect with the room around you, you bring this calm awareness with you, clear, balanced, steady. And in a moment I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and with each number your energy will rise, your sharpness focus, and you return to full alertness, calm, refreshed and clear-headed. So 1, taking a deeper breath. 2, feeling energy return through the body. That's it. 3, becoming aware of your surroundings. 4, your eyes beginning to blink. Mind bright, body refreshed. And 5, eyes open now, fully awake, calm, clear, and ready to move forward.